cops and soldiers are not better trained with firearms than civilians with firearms. That is a myth. It tries to place law enforcement officers in some kind of magical category, that just because they wear a badge, they are somehow master ninjas at the use of firearms and should be the only people to have them, as well as soldiers. This is just not true. I'll explain. There are law enforcement officers, there are soldiers who are very well trained in small arms, and those are the people on the police side that are part of SWAT and they train a lot, or they're part of the police special operations unit and they train a lot as well. A lot means maybe once a month or once every 2 months they'll go to a shoot house, or they'll have some kind of training that way. For soldiers, when they get into a combat zone and they are special ops or some group like that, they spend a lot of time in the shoot house or training with their weapons on the range. But the typical officer that you will see, or detective, or any other law enforcement person, sheriff or otherwise, carrying a gun is no better trained than a civilian with a gun. So we need to stop mysticizing and mystifying law enforcement as the only people worthy enough to carry a gun in public. The fact is that, and go ask a bunch of cops, right? The fact is, once they get out of cop basic training school, where they do spend some time working with their service firearm, they go to the range once, maybe twice a year. And they shoot between 25 and 50 rounds, maximum 100 rounds in that session, or 200 rounds a year, as part of the, quote, training they get on the job. Very few take their time to go to the range and train on their own. One, because it costs money and the police department won't reimburse them for it, and it's ammo. So just because they carry a gun every day doesn't mean they have maintained their proficiency as a result. Now, there have been studies by the FBI and various police departments around the country, including the larger ones, Los Angeles, New York, and so forth, on the accuracy of when there's police shooting. You will be surprised to know, because I was, that only 18% to 25% of the rounds fired by law enforcement ever hit their target. The rest goes someplace else, sometimes into an innocent bystander, sometimes in the wall, sometimes who knows where, because they can't find the round. But you don't see that publicized, because it would take away the magical feeling that cops never miss, or cops are super trained in firearms. They're just not. At a 20% accuracy rate, that's not good. By the way, police departments know that. And there was a time when they tried to address it with more training and more training, more training on the range. The problem, they had to stop. Why? Because it costs too much money. Money for the equipment and the ammunition, but more importantly, when you take officers out of the field, you have to increase the number of officers total so you don't reduce service to the public. Unfortunately, that's exactly what happened. They didn't hire more cops so they could maintain the training, because the public refuses to pay increased taxes for that. So it's our fault, your fault, right? So police departments stopped doing it, and the accuracy rate has come back down to 20-25%. Now, I'll give them some kind of leeway on that, because when a cop is going to shoot their weapon, two things are happening. The bad guy is moving and the cop is moving. That is the most difficult shooting scenario there is. And the cop is under stress. So I understand that's hard. That is difficult. That is difficult. But as a civilian, I nor any of my other compadres are going to be shooting at a moving target while we're moving. We're going to be trying to get out of the way. Civilian accuracy, and when I train, and I train moving targets while I'm moving, my personal accuracy in that scenario is 80%, 80% hit rate on the target, right? But I train probably 10 times more than the standard law enforcement officer. Now, most civilians don't do that. My point is that we need to stop putting cops into this mystical category of super shooters and say that they are the only ones that should be carrying a gun in public. They're the only ones safe enough. They're the only ones that have the training enough. They're the only ones good enough. That is just not true, and never has been true. So I put that out there. If there are any law enforcement folks, welcome your feedback. No intent to butthurt anybody, but the facts are the facts. And as always, thanks for watching. Carry on.